Do you know that you can play a critical role in the lives of young children in your community? According to the United States Administration for Families and Children, the state of Mississippi alone has the second highest record of abuse and neglect cases. The impact of abuse and neglect is so severe that it can impact a child in a number of ways, to include physical, psychological, behavioral, and societal. And all of these impacts leads to negative consequences. Well, in order to combat and protect these children, the organization called CASA in Mississippi was established to advocate on the best interests of these children who has been abused and neglected through court-ordered, sanctioned, community-based programs. The purpose of this speech is to persuade you to volunteer with the Natchez CASA program. First, we will look at the need for the CASA program. Then we will look at a challenge the program is facing on a daily basis. Finally, we will look into why the community organization could benefit from volunteers such as yourselves. Do me a favor and take a moment to think about a time that you was spanked, maybe, but that spanking only lasted for a few seconds. Now think of a time that something was taken away from you, like a dessert or a playtime with a friend, and think about how that made you feel. Now think of a moment when you felt happy and safe and loved. Were you given everything you wanted as a child? Or if you wasn't, did you at least receive special gifts throughout the year that made you very happy with the people that you grew up with in your household? Well, guess what? The people, these young people, um, from the oldest age of birth all the way up to 18, a lot of these children are receiving much, much worse. So that short spanking you received, these children are receiving long beatings, brutal beatings that leaves them with marks and scars that will last their entire livelihood. And the time that you wasn't given anything to eat for dessert or a snack, well, unfortunately, some of these kids go without eating. They're they're being punished for things that they do, such as a 2-year-old peeing on themselves, and I don't know, a child taking their father's charger, and again, they're just having things that they should be subject to taken away from them. So you got to think about all that stuff, because these children in our community, this is what they go through, and it's hard to hear about, and it's hard to listen to, especially when we see it on when we hear it from the radio, and when we see these videos of people torturing and abusing these kids in all these different horrible ways. But you guys, these stuff are happening. Oh, this is why the CASA program was established. It's to protect all these kids who are being hurt by these so-called loved ones. That's why they really need you. And believe it or not, the smallest minor incident, it could be not sending your child to school every day. Yes, a child can be taken away from their parent if they don't go to school. And those are some of the minor incidents that we have on these cases. The major cases include the child, unfortunately, succumbing to their wounds that they received from, I don't know, their dad or mom or grandma, auntie, uncle. or friends who were left up under their care. And that's it's pretty harsh and sickening, really. So the number of these cases from abused and neglected children in our community, though these cases have been decreasing over the years, especially the past decade, but these cases are still happening at alarming rates. And that's why, again, the CASA program was established. CASA stands for Court Appointed Specialist Advocate, and they are serviced through the juvenile justice system here in Natchez, Mississippi. CASA volunteers serve by working with the child during their time of uncertainty. They work to collect information on the child and how the child and the family are doing with their services that have been recommended for them to take, and other programs that could benefit both the child and the family as they work on reunification, which is also one of the main goals in the CASA program. We're not trying to break up the child just because a family has done something, because you may have acted out, one time, but I don't think one bad incident in your life should follow you all the days of your life. So, the CASA program is actually helping people. It's not helping just these young children, but it's also helping the adults. CASA volunteers also collaborate with the teachers and other policemen, doctors, and whoever else plays a big influential part of that child's life. Of any child who has been victimized, and the placement after these children has been taken from their parent or guardian usually goes into foster care, parental home. Some do stay with the parent, and the other option is an adoptive home. So I have just discussed the CASA program in Natchez and their importance to the lives of abused and neglected children. Now we will look at a challenge the program faces on a daily basis. Currently, the Natchez CASA program is serving over 100 cases in a number of counties. According to the National CASA Technical Assistance Brief, the program serves more than one county in more than one jurisdiction, because these other places do not have the CASA program. Now you may ask why. Well, take a look at Natchez. Okay, now let's take a look at its surrounding cities and towns. Well, we have Vidalia. Then you have, what is that? Crosby and Port Gibson. What do those places have in common? Plus, there are also more areas, but y'all know what's around Natchez. These places are way too small to hold or house a CASA organization. Why? It's just the small population doesn't have all the people it needs to work these cases. And the CASA program here has a number of people working. And that's why the number of people is important to these programs, because I told you, you are working with not only that child, but their parent and guardian, and you also are interacting with whoever they are interacting with, which may include cousins and other people who you may need to talk to. And so the CASA program deals with at least 100 children. Now, as you know, today's modern household can have at least 2 or more children. So let's just say that there are at least 100 cases, but there are more than 600 or 700 children that are being serviced by the CASA program. And that is a lot. And I'm not even sure if I'm close to that number, but you can have an idea. So let's keep that in mind. And the CASA volunteers, they can work, at least when you start off, you can work 1 or 2 cases depending on your availability. And if you have more time to spend to dedicate with these cases and these children, then you could probably pick up 2 or 3 more cases. It just depends on your commitment and your dedication. But what's more important is that the more cases that are added to the CASA program, which happens daily, you're going to need more and more people to help. So we may have 100 cases right now, but give it another month. How many cases do you think we'll have then? So yeah, the more cases that are added, we're going to need more people, because if not, then we can't keep up. We can't keep up with providing and protecting these children. And if we're not doing that, then the CASA program is not effectively completing their mission. And we don't want that to happen, because that means that children can continue to get hurt and abused and neglected each day. And yeah, we want to keep that death toll down. So that's important. One solution that could decrease the caseload Natchez take is establishing more CASA programs in other counties. In doing so, cases that take place in other jurisdictions can see a faster response from the judge and CASA volunteer. The case would not have to be squeezed into a schedule just to be heard, and the children in the case would not be ignored in a sense. And let's see, the problem with that, because it's a setback in a way, and this setback is that well, when you look at Natchez and all the other surrounding cities, yeah, it's just too small to establish an organization like this, unfortunately. So another solution could be to recruit more volunteers. As previously stated, each volunteer is responsible for so many cases depending on their level of commitment. So if there were more volunteers, then the number of cases could be distributed evenly between everyone that is involved, and each child would be ensured a CASA volunteer, and the chances of them being placed in a better home would happen at a faster rate. Assuming that these large numbers interested in becoming an advocate, one should remember that these cases should not be taken lightly. Information given or obtained are strictly confidential and can only be shared with certain people, like your CASA supervisor. And my CASA supervisor is Miss Angela James, and she does great work with the CASA program here in Natchez. So if you like to, y'all can look her up on the Natchez Democrat, or talk to her in person if you would like to gain more information about becoming a CASA volunteer. But yes, only certain information all information is shared with Ms. James, and that information can also be shared with the judge, as he helps listen to what we present to him, and he helps determine where these children should be placed. So your commitment is it's highly appreciated. It is welcomed, but at the same time, it is serious. It is serious as a heartbeat, and I mean that literally and figuratively. So I just discussed how establishing more CASA programs and recruiting more CASA volunteers could help overcome a challenge the program is facing. But I believe more volunteers, however, could better serve the community as a whole. It serves the community as a whole by having more members of our community and neighboring counties become CASA volunteers. And we would do this because I believe it's the one of the best solutions for improving the lives of children in our state. The CASA program is an interconnected web um, that includes a lot of people, services, and programs. I told you that the family and the child need to complete services and programs. Well, these are the services and programs that I'm talking about. It is those services and programs are creating opportunities for the children to thrive and to grow and develop as they grow into successful adults. And the organization also provides is allowing the adults to step up into more serious roles as they grow from bad habits, and they're actually having things change within their lives so that they can be better human beings overall. Um, the program puts accountability back into place for the parents who abuse and neglect their children, and it gives them another chance to collect themselves mentally and emotionally. According to the CASA of Travis County, we want to provide the families a safe home for everyone else, and we want to help provide them we want to help everyone that's involved a promising future. Um, in closing, the purpose of this speech was to persuade my audience on why they should become a CASA volunteer with the juvenile justice system. First, I went over the need for the CASA program. Next, we went over one of the challenges that the CASA program was facing. Then we went over possible solutions that could help the program, which is by adding more members of the community. A CASA volunteer serves an important need in our community, a need that should not be ignored. Will you help fulfill this need? Thank you for listening to my speech.